Hello, hello, hello. All my good people out there in the world of Facebook, the book of the face. Get this focused and strained up. Should be good. I hope everybody having a wonderful Monday. Sorry about that. I'm running like just a couple of minutes behind. I do apologize. But I am here with you guys now, ready to bring this word. Get this straight. All right. I just give a minute or so, since I'm running behind myself. Give a minute or so for everybody to come in and go ahead and get started. All right. Found my spot here. All right. So how's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. What's going on, Chris? How you doing, man? Hope everything's going okay for you. Talked to your sister last week. She gave me a call about the situation, man. Sorry, I had to laugh a little bit. It was a little funny just imagining how things went down, but I'm glad you're all right, man. I'm glad you're here with me today. And anybody else that's tuning in, whether you're going to tune in now or later on, or you're going to watch it live or watch it later on, thank y'all for joining me today. Of course, I'm John Stewart on behalf Brother John Stewart on behalf of Lost Sheep Ministry, sponsored by River Lake Baptist Church, here to bring y'all a message today. Missed y'all last Monday. I do apologize. I don't know if I ran everybody off because I had a little day off last week, but I do apologize that I couldn't be here last Monday. I was doing some traveling last week, and I took my stuff with me because I was like, well, hopefully, things will work out where I can, still be able to get the lesson in. But it was just kind of busy, had some things going on that I wasn't able to get to you guys. So I do apologize about that. But I appreciate y'all being here for me today. And hopefully y'all are ready to hear some word. Hopefully y'all are missing me. Y'all are just hungry for this word since I wasn't here last week. Yeah, it is some nonsense, Chris. I mean, it's messed up, man. But, stuff like that, you can't do nothing. I ain't going to put your business out here, but you can't do nothing but laugh at it. That'll be a story you'll have to tell people on into the future. You know what I'm saying? But again, I missed y'all last week. But even though I missed y'all last week, I will say had a wonderful week, had a great trip. Going down there for work. Went down there for work. It's part of my job. I had to, travel from time to time to do inspections and do trainings and things of that nature. And ended up in Orlando last week. That's where I was at. That's why I couldn't do the lesson last week. And I was down in Orlando, Florida. First time going down there, man. And nice city. Nice city. Very expensive, I guess, because Disney. I don't know where I thought Disney World was at. I knew it was in Florida. I don't know where I thought it was at, but I didn't realize it was in Orlando, Florida. So it was down there in the Disney World and SeaWorld and all that. And I guess because of that, man, it is expensive down there. I was like, oh my goodness, we couldn't do a whole lot because I ain't just have a whole lot of money to be getting rid of like that. But we did enjoy ourselves, man. Had a wonderful time. And just, before we get into the lesson and stuff, just got to tell you guys, because I don't think it's going to come up tonight. It might come up tonight, but, of course, when I'm doing anything with God, I always teach you guys about being consistent. No matter where you at, no matter what you're doing, make sure you get God's work in. And everybody know I'm always talking about soul winning. So we was down there on a Saturday, and I got down there early enough to be able to go soul winning. So, it's a blessing. And I just want to share this with y'all because I think y'all find it funny. Because y'all know my ministry is Lost Sheep Ministry. I'm like, what up, Dalton, man? How you doing, brother? Good to see you here, man. Been a while, you know what I'm saying? But glad you're here, bro. Give me a holler sometime later on when I get through with doing this, man. Love to talk to you. So, of course, funny story before we get into the lesson. So last week I was down in Orlando, Florida, right? And like I said, no matter where I go, I try to get God's work done. I'm all about the souls of men. So, me being down there in Orlando, I'm like, man, I've never been to Orlando before. I'm going to get to, go soul winning in Orlando. Because I was so excited about that. I love going soul winning in new places. So when I checked into my hotel, there was a lady there, and she's a black lady. And I had to say, ma'am, don't be offended. But I just need to know where's the hood at, like where's the project at. And I said, I'm not judging you or anything. I said, but I explained, I'm a minister. Our ministry is called the Lost Sheep Ministry, and I like going to different neighborhoods, different projects, and spreading the gospel to people. So the lady, she's like, no problem. Turns out she was an evangelist herself. So we got to talk about church and God for a little bit, and she told me, I know an area. She says downtown. She said, I'm going to give you, she said, my daughter used to live in a building over there by the hood. And she said, I'm going to give you this address to this building. She said, now don't let it fool you. Like the building that my daughter stayed in was nice. She said, but directly across the street is the hood. She's like, trust me, you will not miss it. And so she gave me the address, went down there, and she wasn't lying. It was like downtown area, like what you expect to see in the downtown area. And then right across the street was like the hood, you know what I'm saying? So of course, I rode, and it was, I normally like to try to go to projects or apartment buildings because there's a lot of people concentrated in the same area kind of thing. But it was like houses, it was a little apartment building there. So I kind of rode through, I did a drive through to kind of scope out the neighborhood and get the lay of the land, so to speak. And I saw a couple of spots where it was like group of guys, individuals hanging out. So I parked about a block away, and I figured I'll park about a block away, and then I can walk, and that way I can get to these individuals, but also, come across anybody that I come across, talk to anybody that I come across as I'm walking. So I'm walking, I talk to a couple of individuals, and then I get over to these group of guys that the ones that I originally saw that I wanted to go talk to. And it was so funny because, like I said, I like to go to the hood, the more dangerous, the better. And this is the first time, though, I would say, in the 8-9 years I've been doing this, where I was a little nervous. I don't necessarily say I was scared, but I was a little nervous. And the reason being, because as I walked up to talk to these guys, first of all, it was a group of young guys, you know what I'm saying? And young people, I'm weird with them. When I say young, I'd say between 17 and 20 something, because young people these days, man, they have no kind of guidance. They have no morals, man. And these young dudes these days will kill you. Just because they think that's what they're supposed to do, especially you somebody outside the neighborhood. Not only was I outside the neighborhood, I was from a whole other state. So I was a little weary. I walk up on these guys, and so I'm already weary whenever I go into these kind of situations. And especially when I'm in this place that's not my home, I always take my big Bible so people know, hey, I'm over here with the Lord, kind of thing. So, and what made me nervous, like I said, it was a huge group of them. And I like to try to have little smaller groups, but it was 15, 20 guys out there, you know what I'm saying? So it's a huge group of guys. They're all young. They all got on red. So I'm assuming they was, blood or gang affiliated, some kind of gang, because all of them had on red. So I'm walking in the middle of that little thing that they doing or whatever. And as I'm walking up, they talking as I'm walking up, and they just happen to be talking about their favorite gun to use to kill people. You know what I'm saying? There's one guy like, man, yeah, if I had that thing, blah, 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 I hit him in the head with that. So I'm like, oh, Lord, Holy Spirit, please be with me today. What up, Noah? How you doing, brother? It's been a long time, man. I hope you're doing good. Glad you're here. So I walk up to this group of guys, like I said, they sit here talking about their favorite guns to use to kill people kind of things. Oh, Lord, please, Holy Spirit, be working today. So I walk up to them, and of course I do my thing, and I tell them that I'm from the church, and I ask about salvation. And one of the guys, he's like, man, I believe in God and everything. He said, I believe there's a God and everything. He said, but I just don't know what's up with it. I don't know what I got to do to have a relationship with God. And that was it. Like that right there, my spirit kind of jumped. The spirit jumped on me. He's like, that's your opportunity. So I said, man, look. I said, that's exactly why I'm over here. I'm over here trying to explain, help people know what the Bible said they got to do to have a relationship with the Lord, how can you know for sure you're going to heaven. I said, no, would y'all mind? I said, I know y'all doing your thing, because, they was rolling up, you know what I'm saying? They was rolling up. They was smoking, passing the blunt around. I saw them make a couple of transactions, if you know what I mean. So, I was right there in the middle of all that. So I was a little nervous. It was a lot going on. Like I said, it was a big group of people. Couldn't really keep my eyes on everybody. So I just started focusing on the gospel. I said, you know what? I'm over here doing God's work. I'm gonna focus on the God. So this is what I did, and I got talking to this one guy that asked that question, and I just got to going over the gospel. So some of the guys, they was kind of in and out of it, but then I had like a core group of like 5 or 6 of them that was like there listening and asking questions and stuff. So I started going over the gospel, and one of the guys, he asked me, he said, man, he said, do you really believe this stuff, man? Do you really believe in this? And I told him, I said, bro, let me keep it 100 with y'all. I said, I ain't trying to offend y'all or nothing. I said, but look, man, I see what y'all doing. I see how y'all moving. I said, and I know that if I make the wrong move or say the wrong thing, I can be dead. I said, let's keep it 100, you know what I'm saying, with you guys. I said, so I know where I'm at. I know what you guys are doing. I know how y'all get down. And I know really I'm risking my life to be over here sharing this gospel with y'all. Like, so do you really think that I would come over here? I was like, and I told him, I said, I'm from another state. I said, I said, technically I'm I'm down here for work, but I'm kind of like a vacation too, a little time away from my kids as well. I said, so you really think I risk this time, come and risk my life to come over here and get this gospel to y'all if I didn't truly believe in that? And when I said, he said, bro, you know what? He said, that's real. He said, let us hear it. You know, and man, thank the Lord, man, these guys, they was open to the gospel, shared the gospel with them, and shared the gospel with them, man. And when I went through the gospel with them, at the end of it, I asked anybody that wanted to get saved to get, I always go through the gospel. Then at the end, I like, whoever want to accept the Lord as Savior, step up and put your hand on this Bible. 14 of these young men stepped forward and put their hand on the Bible and asked the Lord to save their soul. So it was a blessing, man. And like I said, I was nervous. So in order for all of them to get their hand on the Bible, they surrounded me. So I'm in the middle, you know what I'm saying, of all these guys. And like I said, just a few minutes ago, they were talking about killing folks, and I'm standing here in the middle, you know, and I was, man, like I said, I wasn't scared, but I was a little nervous. But, you know what I'm saying, just like I believe, man, whenever you go somewhere doing God's work, God got you. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to share the gospel to these young men, and 14 of them got saved that Saturday. So when I got through with them, I went down the street. There was another group of guys, like 4 or 5, kind of talked to them for a little bit, and they didn't really want to hear it. Some of them didn't really want to hear it. But it was this one guy, he like, man, he said, I do want to hear it. He said, but it look like you're going to take forever. And I said, I promise you. I said, I know I do talk a lot. I said, but if you give me 15, 20 minutes, I'll go over the gospel with you, man, and you can know what you need to know to get to heaven. And he said, sure. So within 15, 20 minutes, man, I went over the gospel, and that guy ended up asking the Lord to save his soul. So in all, man, I was down there about an hour and a half, and 15 young men got saved that possibly never would have heard the gospel before. You know what I'm saying? Never would have accepted the gospel. Because like I said, they was smoking, they was drinking, they was selling dope like right in front of me. I remember this one point, and this is why made me nervous too. So my back was to the street, so I couldn't see the street, what was going on behind me. So, you know, whenever cars was past, of course, they was watching the neighborhood, watching the cars, and there's this one car rolled past, and all of them, you know how dogs, when they see something, you know, so they kind of, their ears perk up. So this one car passed, and all of them kind of perked up and looked, and I was like, oh man, what's going on behind me? I didn't know it was about to be a drive-by or what. You know what I'm saying? But it was the guy, he wanted to make a sale or whatever, when it did. But like I said, even though all that was going on, I was still there, man. I was sharing the gospel, and 15 young men got saved that might have never had that opportunity had I not went over there. So, man, I thank God for you, man. I just want to share that with y'all. Like I said, that was the first time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was actually nervous. I remember at the end, I always write people's names down so I can put in my Bible later on. And man, my head was shaking. And I was like, man, I would have to have them spell the name. Cause like I was nervous. Like I said, it was a huge group. That's the first time. Now I've been in a huge group before, but like when I was in the jail, so it was more of a controlled environment. But I wasn't. It wasn't controlled at all. And when no officers there, it was just me and these guys. And if any moment one of them decided to get a little rowdy, that would have been it for me. You know what I'm saying? So I was a little nervous about it. But I just trusted in the Lord, and the Lord used me. And the coolest part about that, though, so these 14 guys, they gathered around me, they put their hand on the Bible, they asked the Lord to save their soul. And one of the coolest things that happened, now, of course, the best thing that happened was all 14 of them got saved. But one of the coolest things that happened when we got through praying, one of the guys said, man, that felt good. I mean, he was like excited, like, man, that felt good. He said, bro, y'all realize we never prayed together before? And I was just telling, I said, man, see, that might be something y'all want to start, man. I said, look, y'all out here on these streets, man, at any moment, the Lord can call you home. Anything can happen to you at any moment, man. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, risk not having a relationship with the Lord, you know what I'm saying, out here doing what you're doing kind of thing. And he was like, man, you right, bro. So they was just like, man, that felt good. And that really took my heart there. The guy, he said, man, thank you, bro. He said, man, that felt good. He said, we never prayed before. And all of them, they was just like, man, thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming by. Now, did they change overnight and then all of a sudden they all holy roly Christian? I don't know. But I did my part. I got the gospel to them at the risk of my life. You know what I'm saying? So it was so fun. I had to tell my wife and kids that. Because like I said, that was the first time I was nervous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I've been in hoods all over. But man, like those were thugs. Like I really, you know what I'm saying, felt like if the wrong step, I could have died at any moment. But, you know, and the dude even told, and when I said that, dude, like, he said, oh man, you straight. Yeah, don't worry about it. We got you covered, bro. I like appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? But I focused on the gospel, man, and these 14 young men, man. Like I said, all of them between the age of 16 and 20, 22. And like I said, that what made me nervous, because young people, man, they have no guidance now. You know what I'm saying? And this rap music, and they watch these gangster movies, and it you know what I'm saying? It tells them and teach them that they should kill people. You know what I'm saying? That they kill and be aggressive and fight and do all these things. And they were young, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know them enough to say what they had got. I don't know if they danced around or what. But, I mean, I can tell that if the wrong thing popped off, my life would have definitely been at risk. But the Lord was with me, man, and I just put my faith in the Lord to keep me safe. He kept me safe, and I was able to lead 15 young men to the Lord down there in Florida last week. So I just want to share that with y'all. Cause like I said, I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't gonna sit here like, yeah, I just stepped up in there like on the bed. I was a little nervous. The Holy Spirit was there, you know, so I went. So I wasn't scared, but I was a little nervous. I was like, man, Lord, you know, so I believe it, but I need you to work with me today, because, man, I'm definitely out of my element. I'm in the wrong neighborhood to be messing up, but I got to make sure. But like I said, when you go into God's word and your heart's in the right place, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. And as rough as that was, I promise there was no animosity there, even with the guys that I talked to that said they didn't really want to hear it. No animosity. They just said, hey, man, we cool. We don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? One dude, he had like pyramids and stuff. I think he was like, you know, high level G or whatever. He had like pyramids and the CNI and all that stuff all over him. And he was the one like kind of questioned me, like, do you believe it's real? And I kind of told him, you know what I'm saying, what I believe kind of thing. He said, all right, man, that ain't for me. He said, you can stir with my boy, but that ain't for me. And I'm like, fine. I moved on. But I was down there in the Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit went with me, and he was working on me that day. So it was a blessing. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, man. Like I said, it's the first time, because I go to different projects every week, but I'm in like Waverly, you know what I'm saying? So I go to projects in like, Dixon and Huntington and McKinsey and places like Paris. And I did it, they ain't bad, but, it ain't hood. When I think of hood, I have yet to go soul winning down to Memphis. I just ain't been down on a Saturday. But, I feel like I was in like Memphis or Chicago kind of thing. So, like I said, I was a little nervous, man, but the Lord worked. The Spirit was on me, and I can really see he touched those guys hard, because they was really appreciative. Like I said, they was smoking, passing blunts around, selling dope, everything. But when I really got into the gospel, all that kind of stopped, and they was really in tune to what I was saying. They was really listening, so I can tell the Lord had worked in their heart. And that's one thing I try to teach them. That's why soul winning is so important, man, because there's 15 young guys that may have never got to hear the gospel. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm the only one that could have did it. I don't know. But I know they needed the Lord that day. And it's just because the lady, told me to go over there. And matter of fact, one of the guys asked me, he said, man, why did you come over here? He said, why did you come over here to talk to us? I said, to be honest, bro, I said, God led me here. I said, when I walked into my hotel, I asked the lady where I need to go. This is where she told me to go. And I said, when I rolled through, I saw y'all standing out there, and I knew it was a big group of y'all, and at least one of y'all needed to hear the gospel. And I said, I never imagined all 15 of y'all wanted to hear the gospel, but I knew at least one of y'all needed to hear the gospel, and that's why I came over here. And he said, man, respect. And he was just like, man, thank you so much for coming over here and doing this for us. And you know what I'm saying? So that's why, I'm always talking about soul winning and how important it is, man. And that just reaffirmed with everything I tell y'all, man. It's so important to get out there and tell people about God. And you never know, it's the ones that you think won't listen will be the ones that want to hear it the most. Because like I said, these guys, they was thugs. There was no doubt about it. I've been around a lot of gangsters. I've been around a lot of people who want to be gangsters. I've been around been around all the kind of gangsters. But these dudes, they was the real deal. You know what I'm saying? But yet, because I prayed for the Holy Spirit to guide me where I need to go, I prayed for the Holy Spirit to go with me. The Holy Spirit went with me, and those guys got saved. So I know this is a little out of the ordinary what I normally do to start the show, start the Bible study or whatever. But I just wanted to share that with y'all because it was really such a blessing to me. And like I said, when we got done, and that guy was like, man, thank you, bro. We've never prayed together. He like, that felt so good. We've never prayed together. That really touched my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because I really believe, like I said, the Lord touched those guys' hearts. And I hope that they will continue to grow and hopefully someday be able to get out of that life that they're in and use the time that they have and the life that they have to do the work for the Lord. What up, Pat, man? Yeah, I wanted to run, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Holy Spirit, like I said, God put you in some situations that you ain't gonna be comfortable in, but that's where I was led to go. That's where I went. I'm glad I did. 15 people got saved. So that's why I did. So that's why I was there last week. That's why I didn't make it down. Like I said, I was down there from Saturday through Tuesday last week, and I was hoping to get the lesson done while I was there, but we just had so much going on. I didn't make it through it, so I apologize for not being with y'all last week. But I'm here today. So that's being said, I just want to share that story with y'all. That was really amazing. Like I said, really amazing. And I'm glad the Lord used me. And again, the Lord can do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? The Lord can do the same thing for you guys, but you got to make the decision that you're going to go, even if you don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're scared to. Like I said, I was a little nervous. I didn't necessarily say I was scared, but I was a little nervous. You know, because like I said, when it was over, I was writing names. I was shaking. And I was just remember when I walked off and I got back into my car, I was like, whew. You know what I'm saying? I was a little nervous. But it worked out, you know. So again, we're gonna be in 1 Samuel chapter 12. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. Brother John on behalf of Lost Sheep Ministry. And like I said, that was just sharing a little bit of my testimony of what I did, what the Lord was able to do for me or with me last week down in Orlando, Florida. And that touched my heart, man. He really used me last week, and it was a blessing. So, the week before that, y'all know, a couple of weeks ago, we started a lesson in 1 Samuel chapter 12. So if you got your Bibles, that's where we're going to be at tonight, 1 Samuel chapter 12. And we're doing this lesson. It's called A Farewell. I titled it A Farewell to Remember. And, of course, we're looking at Samuel, this whole book of Samuel, the book that Samuel wrote. And, of course, Samuel, he's not dying. Because you think of a farewell, you think, oh, he's dying or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He's not dying. But y'all remember the Israelite has asked him to step down as their leader. You know, he was the leader for the last few years. They don't say exactly how long he was the leader, but at least 20, 30 years he was a leader because he was an old man when he made this address, and he started as a young person. So probably at least 40, 50 years, but they don't say exactly. But he had been a leader. And they got to the point where they wanted to be like the world, so they asked him to give them a king. They didn't want God to be their king any longer, so they asked Samuel to give them a king. So this is Samuel's farewell address. This is the day he's going to officially make Saul the king. So he's just, giving them the farewell address, telling them stuff that they need to remember. So I want to use that as an opportunity to give you guys some stuff to remember as we serve the Lord, as we walk this path of being a Christian, things that we need to remember as we walk this Christian path to help us have a good relationship with the Lord. So last week we did, the week before, actually, we did part 2, and we covered 4 points, a few verses, and I'm just going to review those 3. We covered 3 points last week. I'm going to review those 3 real quick before we jump into the night. And I'm not going to re-preach it because I already took up a lot of that time just telling y'all about my Orlando trip. But like I said, I just really wanted to share that with y'all because that was really a blessing to me. So number 4 from last week, which is number 4 in the lesson, but the first point from last week was we saw over here in the verses of first 3, verses 2 and 3. It was actually 2 points we made, but one of the points was don't forget the number 1 from last week, but number 4 in the lesson overall. Don't forget to take accountability for your actions. And I just talked about how we live in a society where nobody really takes accountability for their action anymore. Everybody want to blame everybody else for their problems. They want to blame everybody. Oh, I'm doing wrong because my dad went at the house or because of this and that and that. We always have some excuse, and just instead of just saying, look, I messed up. I did wrong. I made some bad decisions. I need to take accountability for my actions. So if you're going to serve the Lord, you're going to have to be accountable for your actions. You're going to have to be able to, and we're going to actually see that tonight if we get to that point where the Israelites actually stepped up and took accountability for their actions, and the Lord blessed them because they did so. So number 4, which is number 1, which is number 4 in the lesson, don't forget to take accountability for your actions. Number 5, don't forget to live a life of integrity so that you may be blameless. And we talked about the difference between being innocent and being blameless. Being innocent is, man, I didn't do that. I know I didn't do it. There was no way I could have do it. I could have did it. I didn't do it. But being blameless means you in a situation where they can't even blame you. And, and I gave some examples, and we talked about how one of the main ones we talked about was Daniel, and how Daniel lived his life with so much integrity, and he was so blameless that when some leaders, when he was because he was a castaway, not a castaway, he was a captive in Babylon. And because his faithfulness to God, the Lord elevated him in the land, and he was one of the top rank officials. and all these, and you got to think about it, he was a top rank official, but he was a slave. So all these other officials that was actually from the country, they was getting upset. They were jealous of him. So they tried to hate on him. They tried to find something to get him in trouble. But he lived his life and he did his duties with such integrity that they couldn't. He was literally blameless. So the best thing they could do was try to get him in trouble with his religious requirement, because he was faithful to God and he was in a land of heathens. So of course I'm not going to really preach the story, but of course he was innocent. Not only was he innocent, he was found blameless. And they tried to, they threw him in the lion's den, and the lions didn't touch him. And then they ended up throwing the guys in the lion's den that basically set him up. And when they threw them in with their families before their bodies even touched the ground, the lions had ripped them apart. So, so you see the importance of having that integrity and being blameless, because if you have that integrity and you're blameless, the Lord will be able to use it in a mighty way, and your enemies, when they attack you, they won't have no ground to stand on, because you haven't did none, because you lived a blameless life and you haven't did none that they can use against you. And then, of course, number 6 from last week, the last one that we went over, and this is one that's important because a lot of people do this. Don't forget your past blessings because of your current troubles. The first thing that we do when bad times come, when things ain't happening the way we want it to happen, things feel like things are falling apart, the first thing we do is stop going to church, or stop praying, or stop reading our Bible. The first thing we do when troubles come is turn our back on God. And it's sad, because the thing that you should do, the main thing you should do, is get closer to God. Because obviously there's something happening, either the devil attacking you, or maybe you strayed away and you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing. So the first thing you should be doing is come closer to God. But a lot of times the first thing we do is turn away from God. So that's what I talked about. Number 6 from last week. Point number 3 from last week, but number 6 in the overall lesson. Don't forget your past blessings because of your trouble, your current troubles, because those troubles are not going to last always. After the storm, the rainbow comes after the storm, and you have to remember that. So again, I know I went through that review real quick, but if y'all, you want to get into the details, what I talked about, as always, go back and watch the video from last week. It's on my Facebook page. It's titled Farewell to Remember, Farewell to Remember Part 2. That was the lesson we went over. So it's on there. That's why I just kind of zoomed through it, because it's on there, and I want to get into tonight's lesson. Hopefully at least cover 2 or 3 of these points before my time is up tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pray so we can jump into tonight's lesson. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us tonight. Thank you so much for watching over us this day and giving us this opportunity to come here tonight and get into your word once again. I thank you for these faithful ones, Lord. I was a little nervous. I know I missed them. I didn't do my video last week, so I didn't know if that'd run people off. Sometimes if you break that consistency, man, that's all it takes to lose them, Lord. But you got them here tonight. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you giving me this word to share with these people, Lord. I appreciate you. I thank you so much for the opportunity you've given us, and let us live in a country that for now we can worship you and talk about you freely, Lord. It's not all outlawed just yet, even though they're definitely strongly against it. So I thank you for letting me be in this nation, Lord, and letting us still have the opportunity to do the work that we do for you. What I was able to do last weekend, go out and talk to those guys about you, Lord, that's just a blessing. And I thank you for using me. Thank you for using this ministry and just putting it on my heart to want to help expand your kingdom. So I ask you to watch over us tonight as we do continue to do the same, Lord. Be with us as we go through Samuel, and these farewells that Samuel is giving to people. These just little reminders of things that you've done for them in their lives, and the little reminders of things that they need to do so they can continue to have that close relationship with you. I pray you send your spirit down upon my heart and my mind as I present this word, so I might bring out these truths to the people, and they may be able to use them for the edification of themselves or the others in their worlds. And I pray you send your spirit down upon their hearts and minds, so their hearts and minds will be open to receive this word, receive these truths tonight, and be willing to use them so they can have that closer walk with you as well. We just thank you so much for all you've done. Thank you for all you've given. Thank you for this word, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to get in this word tonight. And we say this prayer in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so again, we're in 1 Samuel chapter 12. We're going to continue on through 1 Samuel chapter 12. This farewell address that Samuel gave to the people. And again, he's not giving them a farewell address because he's dying. He's giving them a farewell address because they asked them to step down. So he's stepping down, but as he's stepping down, it's just like, a father leave or somebody like that. They gonna, as they're stepping down, he's just giving them these little reminders of things they need to remember so that they continue to have a relationship with the Lord. Because he already know the direction they're going. They already said they don't want God to be the king. So, he already know they're about to head toward the world, and he's giving them these warnings before they head in that direction. So hopefully if they see it as they're going through it, that they will correct themselves. But of course, if you know the history of them, you know they're not. They're just going to keep on going, so eventually the Lord kick them out of the land. So tonight we're going to start over in 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 8 is where I'm going to start at. Even though I read that last week, I'm going to start in verse 8, and it's going to take us into our first point. And as always, I always like to make this disclaimer. I am a King James, wholehearted King James believer, but I do read out the New Living Translation when I do these lessons, because my ministry is for the lost sheep. It's for those, like those guys I've talked to, it's for those thugs, man. It's for those ones that still on the corner, maybe not highly educated, maybe not have that close relationship with the Lord just yet. And so it's hard to understand the King James when you're in this situation. So I do read out the New Living Translation, but I'm not a heretic. I do believe in the King James. But with that being said, I'm going to start over in 1 Samuel chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 8. So again, Samuel's making this address. He's already called them into remembrance about some things, and he's doing so. Actually, I'm going to start off in verse 6. He said, now it was the Lord who appointed, the Lord tells us this, he said, it was the Lord who appointed Moses and Aaron. Samuel continued, he brought your ancestors out of the land of Egypt. Now stand here quietly before the Lord as I remind you of all the great things the Lord has done for you and your ancestors. When the Israelites were in Egypt and cried out to the Lord, he sent Moses and Aaron to rescue them from Egypt and to bring them into his land. And of course, they gave us point number 6. Don't forget your past blessings because of your current troubles. So then he continued in verse 9. He said, but the people soon forgot about the Lord their God. So he let them be conquered by Sisera, the general of Hazor's army, and by the Philistines and the king of Moab. So number 7 is this. This kind of goes, I could have combined 6 and 7, but I kind of want to split them up a little bit because I want to put a little bit of a different stank on it, so to speak. So the first part, like I said, don't forget. And you see, they got in trouble because they forgot. Because he said, the people soon forgot about the Lord, their God. So you see, they didn't follow point number 6. They forgot about the Lord and the past blessings. As soon as some troubles came along, they forgot about the Lord and their past blessings. So I could have combined them, but I wanted to make this other point as well. Something that I've preached to you guys before, and it's something that's important for you to do if you really want the Lord's grace to continue to show up in your life. So number 7 is going to be this. Don't forget to thank the Lord for answered prayers. Don't forget to thank the Lord for answered prayers, because you see where it says he sent Moses and Aaron. They cried out to the Lord to get them from under the slavery in Egypt, and he sent Moses and Aaron to do so. But then what happened after he sent Moses and Aaron to do so? What did they do? It said they forgot about the Lord. They forgot. See, and they had been in captivity for, I think it was a little over 400 years in Egypt. And I'm pretty sure the whole time they were crying out to the Lord, asking the Lord to come and rescue them and take them from under this bondage that they were suffering from in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? So they was crying out the whole time. But as soon as the Lord sent somebody to rescue them, what happened? They forgot. You see, and I've taught y'all this is an important concept. Like I said, if you want to continue to keep the grace of God in your life, this is a very important concept that you need to understand, something you need to do. Make sure you're thinking when you're out here and you're on your knees and you're, oh, Lord God, please send me this, or Lord God, please take me out of the situation. Lord God, please help me out of this. When you're on your knees praying and asking the Lord to give you stuff or take you out of the situation, whatever it is your request is, you know what I'm saying? Always keep track of how long you've been praying, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. And the same amount of time, and I've shared this with y'all before, but again, I want to bring it up tonight because it's very important. The same amount of time that you spend asking the Lord to get you out of the situation or asking the Lord for this prayer request, that should be the same amount of time. You should spend at least that same amount of time thanking the Lord for that. You know what I'm saying? The same amount of time you spend asking them for is the same amount of time you spend thanking them for. And if you do those things, if you do that, that'll keep you from getting those past blessings. So though I said number 6 and 7, they kind of go hand in hand. If you do this, number 7, it'll help you also accomplish number 6 because you won't forget those blessings because you're still thanking them for it. You know what I'm saying? I've been up here in Waverly, Tennessee, almost 10 years now. You know, so I've been serving the Lord for 20 years now. Gave my life to almost 20 this February, made 20 years. You know what I'm saying? And I still, to this day, thank the Lord every day for calling me into this ministry. Thank the Lord every day for saving my soul. Thank the Lord every day for bringing me back into the fold. You know what I'm saying? I've been saved since I was 9. I've been saved for 30-something years, but yet I still thank the Lord every day for that. You know, and I honestly, when I got saved, I wasn't even praying for it, but I still thank the Lord. No problem, Miss Tanya. I'm glad you're here. Better late than never. I'm really just getting started in the lesson. The first part was just me telling about my trip last week. So if you want to hear that, you can go back and watch the video at the beginning, but I appreciate you being here. But you got to spend the same amount of time that you spend asking the Lord, that it'll keep you from forgetting. It'll keep you from forgetting those past blessings. You know what I'm saying? You know, you those financial situations come up again, you can remember like, oh man, I remember last time I prayed, I was in this situation, I prayed, and the Lord brought me out of it. So why would I fear this time? What's different about this time? And we have that happen, but I've seen it happen in the Bible where the guys, the kings, when they was got into the kings, where they was in a trouble, they was about to be captured or about to be surrounded or whatever about other nations, and they cried out to the Lord, and the Lord delivered them. And then later on down the road, same situation come up, and they, instead of crying out to the Lord, they try to hire somebody else, Egypt or somebody else around them, to get them out of the situation. And of course, the Lord punished them for it. Why? Because they forgot. They forgot because they wasn't thanking Him. You know, when we do that, we're so quick to, Lord, oh Lord, help us, please help us, Lord. And then you get that thing, all right, Lord, I'm good now. You know what I'm saying? And completely forget about them. You know, there was a story my preacher always tell. You know, it's like there was a man, he was up on the roof, working on the roof, and some of the shingles moved, and he started sliding off the roof. So on his way down, you know what I'm saying, he's on his way about to fall off the roof. He's up on like 3 stories, getting ready to fall off the roof. And he's like, oh, Lord, please save me. And right as he went over the edge, his overalls caught on a nail. And he's like, don't worry about it, Lord, I'm all right. And that's a lot of times, that's what we do. You know, oh, Lord, please give me this job. Oh, Lord, please, help me get this place to stay. Oh, Lord, please do that. And then we get the thing that, we've been praying for, and we just forget to thank Him for it. You know, and that's why you got to understand how many times, and you got to understand, so with God, just that simple little thanks, you know what I'm saying, it goes a long way. I mean, because you think about it with ourselves. How many times have you done something for somebody? Everybody had this happen to them before. You've done something for somebody, done a favor for somebody. They ask you, hey, man, I'm in a bad situation. I need you to help me with this situation. And you do that thing to help them out. And then, you know what I'm saying, once you do that thing to help them out, they completely forget about it. You know what I'm saying? They completely forget. They don't thank you. Or here you go, man. All right. And then they just walk off. And you know what I'm saying? And what's the first thing? All right, we'll see next time. I bet next time I won't help your little ugly self out. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not appreciative. And see, being thankful to God, that goes a long way with God. Because you got to think about it, man. A majority of the world don't even believe. No, I ain't going to say majority. I can't justify that number. But I know it's getting to the point of the majority of America. At least say America. Because last year was the first time, I think it was a couple of years ago, they did a survey, and it was the first time in the history of this country where over a majority of the people, over 51% of the people were no longer going to church. And a majority of them because they no longer believe in the Lord. So you got to believe and think about it. Look how many people that the Lord has given everything to, woke them up this morning. You know what I'm saying? The reason they're able to eat and drink and sleep and do whatever they do, and they don't even thank the Lord for it. So when you come to the Lord and you thank the Lord, that's, matter of fact, whenever I pray, and y'all know, y'all can watch it, go back to the video. Y'all notice I always start on my prayer with thanks first. I don't go straight to the Lord. I need some stuff. Lord, send His Spirit down upon me. I'm about to preach. First, I thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to preach today. Thank you for giving me this word on my heart. You know what I'm saying? Just that little thank goes a long way with God because it shows that you, first of all, you're acknowledging Him. Because like I said, majority of the people don't even acknowledge Him. Majority of the world don't even acknowledge the Lord anymore. At least in this country, they don't even acknowledge the Lord anymore. Could you imagine that? You've created something like your kids. You know what I'm saying? And the kids, they're bad about it. But their kids, they don't understand. At least their kids, they don't understand. But kids are bad about, you know what I'm saying? You can give them everything and they just want more. You know what I'm saying? They don't really understand what it takes for you, the sacrifice you have to make, and the things you have to do for them to have these things, like these little simple things like electronics and electricity and food and water. Man, it's not easy, especially these days with inflation. It's hard to keep your family going. It's hard to provide for your family these days. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you got kids, the young kids, they seem so unappreciative. You know what I'm saying? You put some food out there, it's nasty, and they just push it away. You know what I'm saying? Like, they so unappreciative, and you know what I'm saying? Think about how that makes you feel. So imagine, you know what I'm saying, on a scale we can't even think of, we can't even fathom God. And you know what I'm saying? Because we are all the children of God. But yeah, you got some people, not only do they not thank him or even acknowledge him, they don't even believe in him. You know what I'm saying? So when you give your thanks, that goes a long way with God because he don't get it from everybody. So make sure you give him your thanks. Make sure you give him your thanks because, you know what I'm saying, that goes a long way, and that's how you get things done. That's how you get the Lord to work in your life. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all every single day, you know what I'm saying, every single day I start on my day with prayer. That's how I start my day. When I wake up, every once in a while I forget, and the only reason I say that is not because I'm just so good. I've gotten such a habit of doing it now that when I first wake up, I start praying even before my feet touch the ground. And I'm not saying like, oh, Father God, you know, all this. Just a quick little, man, thank you. I woke up again. Because there's a lot of people that's going to go to sleep tonight, they ain't going to wake up in the morning. And there's a lot of people that went to sleep last night that didn't wake up today. Because I actually had a friend of mine that I played football with, went to sleep one night when it was after an NBA championship game. Went out, parties with his folks, went to sleep that night. He wasn't drunk or nothing like that. Wasn't no like drugs or no syrup or nothing like that. He just went home, you know, maybe had a couple of beers or whatever, went home, went to sleep, didn't wake up the next day. She died in sleep from sleep apnea. You know what I'm saying? So when I wake up in the morning, I thank the Lord. You know, and then I start my day. I just had to move recently about 2-3 months ago, and it's worked out. I got about a 20, depending on if I catch traffic lights or not, I got about a 25 minute ride to get to work. And within that 20, guess what I'm doing? I'm not listening to no morning shows. I'm not listening to the radio. When I get in my car, crank my vehicle up, I'm praying. And so I pray. I get to start my day off with prayer. You know what I'm saying? Every morning on the way to work, I'm praying. And I'm asking for certain things. Lord, take care of my family, take care of me. You know what I'm saying? I work in a job where I work around dangerous chemicals, so I can literally die every day I go to work. You know, Lord, be with me so I can make it back home safely. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain things, you know, be with my wife while she's out and about, be with my kids while they're at school or whatever they're doing. I'm just praying for the nation, be with all your service. I'm praying for all these things, you know what I'm saying, as I start my day. You know, and if I make it through my day, and everything is answered. No, everybody, me and my family are able to make it back home safely. I have a good, safe day at work. I'm able to come here and present this great lesson to y'all. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, when I get ready to lay down, guess what I do? I thank him for it. So I start off asking him for all these things, and then at the end of the day, I thank him for those things. You know, that's one of the things, like I said, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I start praying and thanking the Lord for giving me another day. And the last thing I do before I go to bed is I thank the Lord for letting me make it through the day and making it back to my bed. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing like, it's so weird. Like now that I'm older, and I guess I never know. When I was younger, man, I just would sleep wherever. I didn't care where I would sleep at, man. Somebody on the couch or on the floor with a sweater under my head for a pillow. I didn't care where I fell asleep at. Now, man, I got to be in my bed. You know what I'm saying? Like even when I told you I was in Orlando last weekend, I did not get good sleep. I don't get good sleep when I travel. I like traveling, but I don't get good sleep when I travel because it's not my bed. So in the night, I'm able to make it back to my bed. Oh man, thank you, Lord. I got my fan. I got my pillow that I sleep on. I got my certain blanket that I like to use. You know what I'm saying? I got my whole little setup where I sleep at. I got to have my stuff, man. If I don't have my stuff, I don't sleep comfortable. So every night that I'm able to go out into this world and go around and work and preach and do whatever, and I'm able to make it back to my bed, I thank the Lord for it. You know what I'm saying? None of my people got hurt that day. Thank the Lord for it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get hurt at work. Thank the Lord for it. Everything that I asked him for that morning as I was on my way to work, I always thank him for as I get into my bed at night. Why? Because I want to show him that I appreciate it and I acknowledge the fact that I only have those things. It was only by his grace that I was able to do those things. It was only by his grace I was able to have those things. I show him like, Lord, I understand there ain't nothing I'm doing by my strength. This is all by your strength that I'm able to do these things and accomplish these things, and I thank you for it. And that's what you got to do. If you do that, the Lord will show you, that's how you get ahead. That's how you get ahead with God. Show him. You know what I'm saying? If he's going to keep giving you stuff and you just going to keep taking credit for it, then he's not going to keep giving you stuff because you're thinking you got it on your own merit. How many times you hear people say, I'm self-made, especially these rappers, self-made millionaire, things like that. No, you're not self-made. Anything you have, anything you was able to do, it was only by the grace of God. So when you thank the Lord for the things that he's given you, you're showing him that you're acknowledging him and you're showing him how appreciative you are, and he will continue to give you these things. You know what I'm saying? you got to understand, like I said, most people, there's a lot of people in the round, say most, because I want to be non-factual, but there is vast majority of people, a lot of people that, like I said, they don't even acknowledge the Lord at all. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them don't even believe in the Lord. So when your little things come in, that might, and you might think like, oh, well, Brother John thank him all the time, so I ain't got to thank him. I might have had a bad day. I might have forgot to thank him. We can't assume that somebody else going to thank you. The little thanks that you get the Lord, that might be the only thanks you got that whole day. And he's done a trillion miracles in one day, and only one person came back and thanked him for it. You never know. That's like there was a story, and I got it wrote down here. So there was this one time, you remember Jesus, when Jesus was preaching, and he was going about, like he does, and there was these guys that were lepers. Now, lepers, if you had leprosy, you had to kind of separate yourself because it was, a skin disease, and you was considered defiled. You was unclean in the Israelite culture, so you couldn't be around people. So these guys, they really couldn't get in the crowd where Jesus was at, so they just started screaming, Lord, have mercy on us. Lord, have mercy on us. And there was 10 of them. You know what I'm saying? And basically, what do you want? And you're like, man, they were like, we want to be healed of this leprosy. So he told them, hey, go show yourself to the priest. He said, you know what I'm saying? And as you go there, your leprosy will be healed, basically. So all 10 of them started off, and as they started to head toward the priest doing what the Lord told them to do, but guess what? The leprosy disappeared. They was healed. So it was 10 of them that went, that the Lord told that the Lord had just healed, but guess how many went back and thanked him for? Only one. You see what I'm saying? Only one. And so the other 9, they just kept on going about their business. They asked the Lord for it, he gave it to them, and they was happy. They didn't care. But the one went back, and he was like, man, Lord, thank you so much. And what did Jesus say? He said, where's the other one? He said, did I not just heal 10 of y'all? And he's like, yes, my Lord. He said, well, no, basically, why are you the only one that returned? And then this is what he told him. He said, go thy way, thy faith have made thee whole. You see what I'm saying? So those other guys may have been healed, but they wasn't made whole. This guy was made whole because he showed the Lord, because he went back and he thanked the Lord for it, and he showed the Lord his appreciation. And I guarantee you that man was used of a mighty way. Now they don't show any other records of him from that moment on, but I guarantee you that man was used of the Lord in a mighty way. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because he went back and thanked the Lord, and he said, you've been made whole. You notice he didn't say that. Get in there and read it yourself. Maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but he didn't say that about the other 9, all 10 of them. He just said that about this one guy. He said, your faith has made you whole. So even though the other guys got healed, they wasn't made whole. You know what I'm saying? This guy was made whole because he went back and showed that appreciation for the Lord. Another situation where that happened, y'all remember there was this guy, again, Jesus, he had, I forgot it was, dang it, I know the place is right on the tip of my tongue, but it was this guy, there was they called him the maniac of Gadara. Oh man, I don't want to mispronounce that. Y'all look it up. You give your opportunity to get in the Bible. But basically, it was this guy. He was possessed by demons. And y'all know the story. He was possessed by demons. He lived in a cemetery. He would cut himself. He ran around naked all the time. They tried to put the guy in chains, and every time they did, he just broke the chains because he was so strong, because he had all these spiritual entities in him. And then one day, Jesus came by. Came walking by. And when the demons saw Jesus, they knew who he was immediately. And they went to him, you know what I'm saying? And Jesus said, what's your name? And y'all remember, because there's a famous line said, my name is Legion, for we are many, And the Lord, and he was like, no, don't torture us. They asked him, don't torture us, send us into those herd of pigs over there. And then Jesus said, all right, go. And remember, the demons came out of the man and went into the herd of pigs, and the pigs went and plunged themselves. They basically ran off a cliff and killed themselves, went into the ocean and killed themselves. And then, but after he did that, after he cast the demons out, it said the man was sane, and he was sitting at Jesus' feet. And he was sitting at Jesus' feet. Why? Because he was thankful. And he was thankful for the Lord. And he was so thankful, like, Lord, can I go with you? Can I can I go travel with you? And what did Jesus tell him? No, go and tell others what I've done for you. See, that man became a testimony. He became a testimony, and he became someone that can do that work for the Lord. But why? Because he was so thankful. You're not going to be able to work for the Lord if you're not thankful for the things the Lord do to you, because you're not seeing it. You're not even recognizing. You're not even acknowledging that God is doing all these great things for you. So how are you going to be able to tell other people about him? And that's what the guy wanted to go. He's like, man, you would think they're like, oh, Lord, you got another disciple. He's like, no. He was, I got enough. People in this area need to hear about me. Because matter of fact, excuse me, he knew I'm so sorry. I drank that water, and I guess it's coming back up now. But matter of fact, he knew, because that's why he told the guy to stay there. Because if y'all remember, right after that happened, once everybody got to talking about the story, the people from the town came out, and they basically kicked Jesus out of the land because the pigs died. They was upset because the pigs had died, because they was, they was keeping the pigs for the Roman army or whatever, and the pigs had died, so now they was afraid the Romans were going to come down on them. So what they do, they told Jesus to leave. So that's why he told that guy to stay, because even though he left, this guy and his testimony was going to be able to help a lot of people. See, why? Because he was grateful for what God had done for him. So we got to be grateful. You want the grace of God to continue to work through you. You want the grace of God to continue to be able to continue to receive it. Show him that you appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not going to keep on giving you stuff. If you come to me and I'm helping you and you're not showing me that you appreciate that help, I'm not going to keep giving you help. That's just bottom line. But that's what you got to do. And there was something, and you look at Jesus, anytime he did anything, he even prayed, thank God for it. I remember one time he was getting ready to heal a man. And he thanked the Lord for the fact that the man was healed. No, it wasn't healed. He was raised him from the dead. It was Lazarus. Matter of fact, he was getting ready to raise Lazarus from the dead. And you remember he was on his way, and everybody, the sisters, they was upset because like, you would have been here, he wouldn't have been dead, blah, blah, blah. And what did Jesus say? He said, thank you for letting him be dead, so they can see this miracle, and they can believe in you and believe that you sent me. He thanked the Lord for it. Before he even done the miracle, he thanked the Lord for it. So that's another concept that I've learned recently. A few months ago, y'all know I was sick. I'm sick, but I had a little thing, and it still ain't completely healed. Y'all see I got my little bandage. It's almost there. I'm actually going to probably start by working out tomorrow. It's almost healed, but not quite. It's still got a little bit open, so I keep it covered because it's an open wound or whatever. But I was talking to the lady I call my spiritual mother. Her name is Miss Knapp, and I was just telling her that, hey, they said it's either a really bad infection or it could be cancer. You know what I'm saying? It could be something real bad kind of thing. We was talking about it, and she's like, baby, not only are we going to pray and ask the Lord to take this away, we're going to pray and ask the Lord to heal you from this thing. He said, matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and thank him for the healing. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, exactly that shows him that you have faith. And she said, so from now on, when you really need something to happen, whenever you need God to show up in a certain mighty way, and you praying for some stuff, once you pray and ask him for it, go ahead and thank him for it. Thank him for it as well. Show him that you have your faith in him. And that's what I did. So, you know what I'm saying? She told me, I'm going to check back with you, make sure you're doing though. And I've started doing it. Like I said, just a few months ago, I learned that concept, but that's another concept of things. And it works. Because if y'all remember, when it was in a situation when Jesus fed the 5,000 and he also fed the 4,000, both times all he had was, a couple of fish and a couple of loaves of bread. But what did he do? He thanked God. He looked up to heaven and he thanked God for those things. He blessed those things, and then he started breaking them. And what happened? It multiplied. You know what I'm saying? So before he even did the miracle, before the fishes and the bread was already multiplied, he went on and thanked them for it. See what I'm saying? So that's why I say those little things we might not think is a big deal. Oh, and we all got that say, oh, God knows my heart. God knows my heart. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God knows my heart. No, you got to thank him for it. Show him what's in your heart. He want to hear. You know what I'm saying? I know my kids love me, but I want to hear them say I want to hear them say they love me every once in a while. You know, I know my wife loves me, but I like hearing her say it every once in a while. Vice versa. She know I love her, but I also know she like to hear it every once in a while. You know how you especially women, y'all like that. You know, my wife is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta kind of tell her. I don't have to tell her, but I tell her, remind her how beautiful I think she is. Women like to hear that stuff every once in a while. It's the same thing. God knows your heart. He knows that you're grateful for the things you do, but he want to hear it every once in a while. Just tell him. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be amazed at how far they go. You know what I'm saying? How far they go. I know we were talking about Daniel earlier, and y'all remember there was a situation that Daniel and his brothers was in, where this king had this dream. He had this dream and he couldn't figure out the dream. You know what I'm saying? He know what it was. So the king, told all his soothsayers and diviners and all them, told them, hey, y'all either figure this dream out or I'm killing everybody. And then, you know what I'm saying? And so so what did Daniel do? Him and his brothers, they went and fasted, and they went and they prayed all night and asked the Lord to show them this dream. And what happened? The next day, the Lord showed him the dream. Well, first he went to the king, asked the king, he said, give me one more day. I'm going to go to God and see if God will reveal it to me. And of course, he, faithful man, him and his brothers went, prayed all night. And by the next morning, they had to answer the dream. But, you know what I'm saying, Daniel's life was at risk. You know what I'm saying, his life was at risk. The king had already put out the decree that if nobody told him the dream by that next day, that everybody, all the wise men and the soothsayers and all those guys are going to die. But what did Daniel do? If you read that chapter, what was the first thing Daniel did after the Lord gave him the answer? He didn't run straight to the king. Oh, king, I got the answer. What did he do? He said he thanked the Lord. He took that time and thanked the Lord. Before he even went and told the king to save his life, he took that time to thank the Lord. So that's what I'm showing. And remember, if you look through the book of Daniel and how Daniel was blessed, we was talking about the lions den earlier and all the other things that him and his brothers were able to do. Why? Because they was thankful. So when somebody's helping you, somebody's blessing you with something, giving you with something, and you're thankful and appreciative, they're going to give you more. The same goes with God. That little, like I said, that little thing goes a long way. And yes, I told y'all I thank the Lord every day, but don't depend on me to thank the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't depend on, hey, Miss Alicia, glad you made it in. I know Leo keep you busy. Oh, but about you had a bad. I hate to hear that. Definitely be praying for you guys. I hope everything's all right down there. I know he keeps you busy, but I'm glad you're here. But you know what I'm saying? Be thankful. Don't be expecting Miss Alicia to go out and thank the Lord. You thank, because like I said, you thanking him might be the only things he got that whole day for the trillions and billions and trillions of miracles he's done for everybody, because it's 7 billion people on the earth. So just the fact that everybody that woke up today, if 7 billion people woke up today, that's 7 billion miracles right there. That ain't even including the feeding everybody and everybody still breathing and the capabilities that people have. I mean, he does trillions of miracles every single day, and a lot of times he don't even get thanked for it. So that's why when you put that thanks in your heart, you want to make sure you thank him, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you've been asking him for something, thank him for it as well. And I'm telling you, that goes a long way. That's what happened with Jesus. This is how Jesus was able to feed 5,000 and 4,000 with just a few fish and a couple of loaves of bread, because he thanked the Lord for it beforehand. And again, that new concept, like I said, you know, thanking the Lord beforehand, Miss Knapp taught me that. Miss Knapp taught me, she said, you know, when you pray for something and ask the Lord for it, go ahead and thank him for it. Go ahead and thank him for it, because it shows him that you have faith in him. And that's what I've been doing. I got a lot of stuff going on that I'm needing the Lord to take care of, and I'm already thanking him for it because I know he's going to take care of it. So number 7 tonight, first point of the night, don't forget to thank the Lord for answered prayers. Just as much time you spend asking the Lord asking the Lord in prayer for something is the same amount of time you should spend thanking him for it once he give you that thing. So number 7, don't forget to thank the Lord for answered prayers. And Miss Alicia, I know you just came in. Don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you can always go back and watch the beginning. I know you said Leo had a bad day. And I just spent the first little part telling about my trip from last week. So if you're interested in what happened to me last week, definitely go back and watch the video once I post it on my page. So that was number 7. Don't forget to thank the Lord for answered prayers. So then the next line, verse 10, he says this. He said, then they cried to the Lord again and confessed, we have sinned by turning away from the Lord and worshiping the images of Baal and Ashtaroth. So that's a reference back to number 4. That's what I was telling y'all. I told y'all it was going to come up again tonight. That's a reference back to number 4. They actually took accountability for their action. They realized, you know what I'm saying, when the situation they was in, they realized the situation they was in this situation because they had turned their back on the Lord. They had took accountability. You know what I'm saying? For the longest, they was worshiping the idols. Again, they asked Samuel to step down as king. I mean, they were doing all kind of crazy stuff, but they finally took accountability. They finally took accountability for their actions. So that's a reference back to number 4. I'm not going to re-preach that point because I already did that in the previous lesson. So if you want to see the point I preached on that, go back and watch part number 2 because I covered that. But that's a reference back to number 4. They actually took accountability for the things they were doing. They said, we have sinned by turning away from the Lord and worshiping the images of Baal and Ashtaroth. So they took accountability. And again, when you take accountability for your action, then it goes a long way. If we confess our sin, the Lord is faithful and just to forgive us. But you got to take accountability for it. If you're still in denial and you still feel that you ain't a sinner, then there's nothing the Lord is going to be able to do for you. So then the next line he said, but we will worship you. He said again, then they cried out to the Lord again and confessed, we have sinned by turning away from the Lord and worshiping the images of Baal and Ashtaroth. Then in the next verse he said, but we will worship you and you alone if you will rescue us from our enemies. Then the Lord sent Gideon, Barak, Jephthah, and Samuel to save you, and you lived in safety. So right there is going to be 2 points that come out of that. And I hope I can get to both of them tonight. I should be able to get to. It's only 8 o'clock. So it's 2 points that come out of that little verse right there. The first point is this. It's going to be number 8 in the lesson overall. Number 2 point for the night. Number 8 is this. Don't forget God is not your own personal genie. Don't forget that. Don't forget that God is not your genie. You know what I'm saying? Because you notice what they said. They said they cried out again. Said they cried out. They said because we've sinned, turned away and worshiping Baal or Ashtaroth. He said, but we will worship you and you alone. If see there, it shouldn't be no if on there. It said we will worship you and you alone if you will rescue us from our enemies. See, they put that if on there. Lord, if you do this for us, then we'll do something for you. And it shouldn't be like that. If that's the way you look at God, if that's the way you deal with God, then guess what? You don't really love the Lord. You look at God as like he's just your personal genie, somebody you can call on. If you only pray, the only time you pray is when you need in a bad situation and you need some help, then you don't have the relationship with God. Your relationship with God is not as it should be. You looking at God as like he's your own personal genie, and he's not your personal genie. He's God. He's God. He deserves, you know what I'm saying, has earned the right to be worshiped and talked to and praised every single day. You should be doing that every single day. If you're not doing, if the only time you going to God is when you need something or when you're in a bad situation, then you don't look at God as your God. You look at God as your personal genie that you can call upon when you're in a bad situation, that get you out of a bad situation that 9 times out of 10 you probably put yourself into. And you don't want to have no relationship like that. You don't want to have your relationship with God. If you're only praying with God when you need something, then he's your own personal genie. And you don't want to have that relationship with God. That is not how you get the grace of God in your life. That is not how you have that close walk with God. You should be walking with God every single day. He should know. God would be more shocked that I didn't talk to him than I do when I do talk to him. If he's shocked, like, oh man, I heard from Chris today. You know what I'm saying? If that shocks God, then there's a problem there. It shouldn't be no shock that he hears from you every single day. And if it is a shock that he's hearing from you, every single day, then guess what? Your relationship with God there's a problem there. And it's funny that I didn't know this point was coming up, but this is how God works. Because I was back home this weekend. I was soul winning down in Huntington. And I came across a kid, and he had like autism. Like I have a middle son that has autism, and this kid had autism as well. But he had some questions, you know what I'm saying? He had some questions and everything. We got to talking. And one of the things he asked me was, he's like, what do you think about only praying to God when you need something? What do you think about that? And I'm like, man, it just so happened, like I said, that's what we were talking about, in this point coming up tonight. And I told him, I said, man, I said, what I think about it, I said, that's how you and your relationship with God is. You know what I'm saying? That's on you. I said, but I don't recommend a relationship like that. Because that shows that you don't really love the Lord. The only time you go to him is when you're in trouble. I said, you should be going to the Lord every day. And I use it, y'all probably heard me use this example before, but I use this example with him. And like I said, it applies to what we're talking about here, so I use it with you guys. You know what I'm saying? If you, let's say, you know what I'm saying, you got somebody like, Chris is on here. I'm picking Chris because he's on here. You know what I'm saying? Let's say me and Chris, you know what I'm saying, grew up together, went through high school together, and we was best buddies, you know what I'm saying? And then we graduate from high school, and their relationship continues, Because, we graduate with high school. There's some people that you stay in contact with, and some people you never hear from again. It's weird, even though you see them every day. But let's just say me and Chris, we continued our relationship through high school, and me and Chris talks about just about every other day. You know what I'm saying? If not every day, every other day. It's rare that me and Chris go without talking. So if Chris called me one day like, hey, John, man, I'm in a bad situation. Man, I really need some help. If you got $100 that you can send me, man, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10. If I got the $100 that I can spare, I'm going to send it to him. Why? Because that's my buddy. I know we have a relationship. We have a developed relationship. So I know him. I know what he's going through. I know that if for him to reach out to me and ask me that, he must be really going through a situation. I know. So if he asks me that, and I know my buddy, I know he's really hurting for him to ask me that, I'm going to give it to him. Why? Because I know him, because we have a relationship. We have a rapport. But let's just say same situation. Me and Chris, we grow up together, go to high school together, but then we leave high school and we split, go our separate ways. And I don't hear from Chris, 7, 8 years, 7, 8 years straight. I don't hear from him. And then all of a sudden one day he called me out the blue. Hey, John, how you doing? What's up, man? I ain't heard from you from ever. Ah, yeah, man, I'm good. But actually I'm going through a few things, and I was wanting you to loan me $100. If somebody just come to me out the blue, I ain't talked to them in forever, and I say you come to me out the blue, ask me for money, I'm gonna be a little weary of it. You know what I'm saying? What's going on in your life that makes you want to call me out the blue? I ain't heard from you 4 or 5 years to call me out the blue, for help. Like what's going on? Like I'm gonna want to know a few more details. You know what I'm saying? I'm a definitely second guess, and most likely I probably won't give it to you. To be quite honest, I'm probably not gonna give it to you. Why? Because we don't have that kind of relationship where you can call me and ask me for money. You know what I'm saying? I don't know you like that. You see what I'm saying? And what's the difference? Because the first one, it was a consistent relationship. Didn't even think about it. Oh, man, you need $100. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I got 200. It's been a good week. I got 200. You need 200. Here you go. No problem. But if somebody's coming to me out of the blue and they're just like, oh, man, I need some help, I'm going to be a little bit reluctant. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to ask some questions. What are you doing? Why are you in this situation where you got to have this $100? You know what I'm saying? Where's your money at? What are you doing with your life? There's going to be some questions there. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to have that relationship with the Lord. There's something that you should be walking with the Lord every single day. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be walking with the Lord every single day. Again, it should be no surprise for the Lord to hear from you. You know what I'm saying? When you pray tonight, it should be no surprise. Oh man, Chris just pray. I ain't talked to. If it's like, man, I ain't talked to Chris in a while, that's a problem. You should walk with the Lord every day so you can have that established relationship so he already know what you need. He already knows what you're going through. Because God knows, again, like I was saying in the other point, he knows what you need. He knows what you're going through, but he want to hear from you. You know what I'm saying? Like my kids, I know what my kids need. I know the school just started back. I know that their school supplies that they need. I know the school clothes they needed. I know the things they need to do. I know that already. But yeah, it is still nice. And hey, Dad, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to need this coming up. You mind helping me out? Sure. Love you. You know what I'm saying? Love you. Here you go. You know, and that's how it is with the Lord. If you have that constant relationship with the Lord, when you call upon the Lord, he's going to be right there because he's been by your side every single day already. So he's definitely going to be by your side. You know what I'm saying? Doing the good, he's definitely going to be by your side in the bad. But if you just wait until you in the bad situation, then you call upon him. You know what I'm saying? That he might not be like. Now again, the Lord is merciful. He's going to bless you. Whatever, the Lord's going to take care of you. But you know what I'm saying? You want those, like again, this is if you want that grace, you want that might, you want that when he opened up the heavens and just poured out, you want that. You got to walk with him every day to have that. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all probably heard of me, sick of me saying it, but I tell y'all all the time. 3 things that I do every single day. And that's why the Lord, my family is blessed. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean I'm living, you know what I'm saying, spectacular. Like I said, I still got stuff that I go through, but definitely blessed. Like it's no doubt in my mind that my family's blessed. There's no doubt in my mind. Anybody know my family, like, man, you blessed. Yes, I know, because I walk with the Lord every day. And it's 3 things, again, y'all probably heard me say it a million times, but I said a million more. 3 things I do every day. I read my Bible every day. I pray every day, and I look for opportunity to tell people about God every day. That's something I do every day. I don't care if I'm having a good day. I don't care if I'm having a bad day. Those are 3 things that I do every day. Why? Because I know that gets God's attention. I know that gets God's grace into my life. You know what I'm saying? And these people right here, they weren't doing it. You know what I'm saying? They was like, well, if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. You know what I'm saying? And I got a sermon coming up. I know next week, Lord willing, I'm doing because this is part 3, so it'd be part 4 of this lesson here. But the week after that, I'm going to kind of step away for a second. And I got a lesson I'm going to do. It's a sermon that I'm going to preach in my church. If y'all in the Waverly area, August the 20th at 6:30, I'll be preaching at the church. And I always do it at the church, and then I share it on here with y'all the day after. But I'm preaching a sermon. It's called Even If He Don't. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are saying, if you rescue us, we'll worship you and you alone. When in reality, the right attitude would be, Lord, we need you to rescue us, but even if you don't, we're still going to worship you and you alone. That's the right attitude. That shows the Lord that you really have faith in him. But then they said, well, if you rescue us, then we'll worship you alone. That's the wrong attitude to have. That's not an attitude that someone's have that truly have a love for the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So you got to talk to the Lord every day. You got to walk with the Lord every day. Because if you do that, then you can put into effect Jeremiah 33:3. Because Jeremiah 33:3 says this. He said, call unto me, and I will answer thee and show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. You know what I'm saying? He's not talking to just know anybody. You know what I'm saying? He's not just talking to anybody. He's talking to those people that really love him. He's talking to those people that really serve him. He's talking to those people that walk with him every single day. See what I'm saying? That's something you should be doing every day. And you should be using Jeremiah 33:3 every day. Calling upon him every day. Like I said, I start my day off with prayer. I end my day with prayer. Every day I'm using that 33:3, calling upon the name of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand. God, we think he's a genie. We think we just rub a lamp and he come down and give us our wishes, give us everything we want. But you got to understand, if you read the Bible, yes, God said he will provide for you. And y'all heard me say this before. Yes, he said he will provide for you. Yes, he said he will protect you. Yes, he will guide you. But it's always contingent upon you doing your part as well. And what is your part? That's what I was just talking about, doing your part, walking with him every day. You know what I'm saying? There's nowhere in the Bible where God just straight out say, hey, I'm gonna bless y'all. Don't even worry about it. I'm gonna make it rain on you. Don't worry about nothing. You ain't got to spend no time with me. No, he's always saying, if you stay faithful. You know what I'm saying? If you give your whole heart. You remember every time when he was giving out a new law or commandment to the Israelites, it was always, if you turn your whole heart to me, if you put me first, if you don't worship idols, if you do this, and if you do that, then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It was always contingent upon us doing something. And that's the problem. We don't want to do our part. We want God to do his part, but we don't want to do our part. And that's why I said we treat him like a genie, like he's some genie. And you got to not forget, he's not some genie. He's not somebody that you just clap your hands and you expect him to make things happen. No, he's God. And everything he's doing for you is by his, is got the goodness of his heart, is out the goodness of his, is because of the goodness of his mercy and the goodness of his grace. That's why he's able to do the things that's why he does the things he do. He's not obligated to do so. The fact that he just woke you up, that's really enough. The fact that you're able to breathe, that's enough. The fact that you got food in your belly or clothes in your back or a place to stay, that's enough. All this other stuff that God do, he do strictly because of the goodness of his heart. You know what I'm saying? He don't do it because you've commanded him to do it. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do your part. If you want this grace to be in your life, you want God to answer those prayers when you call them out to him, then you need to walk with him every day. You need to walk with him every day. I can't tell you how many people I've seen that have no kind of relationship with the Lord. Can't even tell you the last time they've been in the church or read their Bible. But the first thing that happens, the first thing they do when they start going through something bad, they want to go, oh Lord. And then what happens when the Lord don't show up or do that thing he's asked for? They get mad at God. Well, I asked him and he didn't show up and he didn't do this and that. Well, when the last time you asked for anything? When the last time you prayed with him? When the last time you walked with him? When the last time you spent any time with him? When the last time you been in this house at all? You know what I'm saying? And that's what we do. We get mad at God because God is not answering our prayers because we treat him like a genie when in reality he's not answering our prayers because we haven't did our part. We haven't given our whole heart to him. We haven't spent time in his word every day. We haven't spent time in prayer with him every day. We haven't done anything for him, and then we get upset because he won't do nothing for us. You see what I'm saying? Because you look at the Bible greats, you know what I'm saying? David was really good about that. David was always praying to the Lord. If you look at those Psalms, they're basically either prayer or praise songs or prayer songs that David wrote. He's always thankful. Everything he did, before he did anything, before he went out to war, he praised the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Lord, what do you want me to do? That was time when the Lord told him, hey, go do this. He went and prayed, hey, are you sure this is what you want me to do? He always made sure that he consulted with God before he did anything. Why? Because he's had that walk with God. He was want to make sure he's exactly what God wanted him to be, doing the things that God wanted him to do. And he was blessed because of it. The greatest king that Israel ever had. You know, now I know they said Solomon was the richest king and the wisest king, but David was the best king they ever had. And if y'all remember, I've told y'all this before. If you look through, as they go through the book of like Chronicles and Kings and all this, those kind of books, if you look through those books, every king that they compare, they always compared that king to David. You know what I'm saying? They always said if it was a good king, they said that he followed in the footsteps as David did. And if he's a bad king, he was an evil king and said he didn't follow in the footsteps of David. David was the standard because David always walked with the Lord. He walked with the Lord every single day. He didn't treat God like some genie. You know what I'm saying? He treated God like he was God. He worshiped the Lord every day. He prayed to the Lord every day. He spent time with the Lord every day. You know what I'm saying? I don't see what he was preaching, but I'm pretty sure he was teaching his kids and serving about the Lord every day. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the Lord blessed him. Same with Job. You know, so we saw Job, you know, and Job went through some stuff. Yes, he prayed, Job went through some stuff, but Job, he was able to make it through, and he got blessed. Even though he lost everything, he got twice as much back because he stayed faithful. He still stayed in prayer to the Lord. Now, yes, his prayers got a little angry. You know what I'm saying? He kind of ran his mouth, and he kind of paid for that at the end because the Lord had to come and spank him and make him realize who he was talking to. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he was down. He went through some deep stuff. I can understand, man. I mean, he's only human. I mean, yes, he was a righteous man and all that, but he was still human. And he didn't know that the Lord and the devil was having this little contest going on behind his back. He didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? He knew that he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. He was praying. Because you remember Job, and one of the things that I got from Job that I do with my family to this day, you know what I'm saying? Not only did Job pray to the Lord and walk with the Lord every day, he even prayed for his kids. You know what I'm saying? And his family. You remember, because it said he made, you know, when he made the sacrifice, he made it for his kids and family as well, because he will, you know, just in case they cursed the Lord in their heart or they did something against the Lord. He prayed for the Lord to have mercy on them. I do that with my kids. You know what I'm saying? I know being a part of the ministry and having to go to church all the time and having to do Bible studies and all this stuff all the time, I know it can get on the kids' nerves. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to push them away. So, you know what I'm saying? But it can happen. You hear all the time the stories about the preacher's kids and how rebellious they are and the things that they get into. You know what I'm saying? So I pray for my kids. Lord, not only pray for me, I pray you forgive them for any sins if they turn their heart against you. And I pray you show them that the error of their ways and bring them back into the fold before it's too late. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because I'm walking with the Lord and I want them to walk with the Lord as well. And that's how you get them prayers answered. That's how you get God's grace in your life on a consistent basis, by being consistent in your relationship with him. But if the only time you go to the Lord is when you need something, when you're in trouble or you made a mistake, then you want to go to the Lord, then you don't respect God as God. He's, you know what I'm saying? You don't see him as God. You see him as your personal genie. So when you do go, even if you go humbly and asking, and those requests is not being honored, those prayers not being answered, it's not because the Lord don't love you no more. It's just because, man, he don't really know you. He don't know you like you know, y'all don't have a relationship. Like I said, if you come to me and I ain't seen you in 4 or 5 years, I'm not going to give you my money. You know what I'm saying? Until I find out exactly what's going on. And the same with the Lord. You want the Lord to work in your life. You know, you want that grace. You want to be able to have those prayers answered. You know, to come out. I mean, I can't tell you how much stuff. Like I still go through stuff all the time. You know, so I have problems pop up all the time. But about just as soon as a problem pop up, a solution will pop up as well. Because the Lord is always taking care of me because I walk with him every day. You know, so if you want to have in your life, don't treat the Lord like a genie. You want to have that grace in your life. You want them prayers to be answered. Don't treat the Lord like a genie. Treat him like God. Walk with him every day. Like I said, 3 things you should be doing every day: praying, reading your Bible, and look for opportunity to tell the Lord tell people about the Lord every single day. You know what I'm saying? Every single day. If you do those things, you will have that close walk with the Lord, and you won't be treating him like a genie. You'll be treating him with the reverence like the God that he is. So number 8, don't forget, the Lord is not your personal genie. He is God. And then again, out of that same verse is going to be number 9. Look like I'll be able to get to it. Number 9 is this. Don't forget to be a man or / woman. I got man. I know I usually say man of your word, but don't be a man / woman of your word. Don't forget to do that. Don't forget to do that. Be a man of word, especially as a Christian. That is so important as a Christian to be able to, you know what I'm saying, give somebody your word and stand on that word. And we've gotten so, in this society has become so broken that we willing to accept false truths, and we really willing to accept broken promises from the same people over and over again, and just to keep allowing it to happen. Look at our politicians. You know what I'm saying? They get in there and they make all these false promises every year. It's about to be election time. They already started the election because you got the presidential election coming up. The lies about to start rolling. You know what I'm saying? They've already started rolling. You know what I'm saying? They've been having their debates and you know, got one guy lying about this. The lies about to start rolling. And we sit there and we play this game and we allow them to do that every single year. And then wonder why our country and our world is in the situation that it is in right now. Because we don't no longer have people with any kind of moral standards anymore. We don't have people with any kind of character or integrity no more. And people, they just tell you stuff and then they have no intentions of backing it up. And that's what they said, because they said, soon the people forgot. No, I'm sorry, that's not what was it. It says, but we will worship you and you alone if you will rescue us from our enemies. And the reason why I said that's the reason why I brought that point up, because I know that I've read my Bible, so I know the history of the Israelites, and I know that I know the history of the Israelites, and I know that they continue up until the Lord kicked them out. They continue to worship idols and stuff like that. Every once in a while they'll be faithful for a little bit, but they continue to worship idols. So they made this rash promise to the Lord that they never did really intend on keeping, or they couldn't keep. And so you shouldn't do that. Don't make these rash promises to God, because you will be held accountable for it. That's something that I used to do. And we've all done that before. Been in some situation, some bad situation, or need something happen, and oh God, if you get me out of this situation, I promise I'll go to church every single Sunday. I'll never miss church again. Or oh God, if you let this thing happen, I promise you I'll just praise you all the time. Or I do this and I do that, and we say that thing, and we might do it for a week or two here and there, and then we fall back by the wayside, so to speak. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is a bad thing to do, because when you make these promises to God, you know what I'm saying, God is still going to hold you accountable for. And that's something I wish I would have knew. I would have, but before, because I've done it before. You know what I'm saying? I've done it several times with weed. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how many times, like, Lord, please, Lord, you know what I'm saying? Just, I promise you, get me out of this situation. I never smoke weed again. And I would, you know what I'm saying? I've had times I went in 1, 2 years or so. And then the next thing you know, I'm right back in it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say 1 or 2 years. I said ever again. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one of the things I want to see God. I always say, I want to see God. I would love to have, because when I read these Bible, I see these guys that get to talk to God. I'm like, man, how cool would that be that get to talk to God and have this conversation with God? And you know what I'm saying? I always think about how cool that would be, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to, because I know there's a lot of promises that I've made on my life to God that I didn't carry through to go through with. Like I said, weed is one of them that I can think of off the top of my head. But there's been other situations that I promised, oh God, I promise if you do this or give me this, then I do these things, and I didn't make good on my promises. So, you know what I'm saying? Stop making these rash promises to God, because you're going to be held accountable. And I learned that, a little bit too late. So I'm afraid I'm still going to have to pay for those. But if you go over to the Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 through 6, Solomon was talking about this. And of course, Solomon was the wisest king that ever lived, even though he wasn't wise enough to stay away from them other gods toward the end of his life. But that's another story. But he writes, and I'm reading the New Living Translation, and this kind of goes along with what I'm talking about. He says, as you enter the house of God, keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Don't be a fool who doesn't realize that mindless offerings to God are evil. And don't make rash promises to God, for he is in heaven and you are only here on earth. So let your words be few. Just as being too busy gives you nightmares, being a fool makes you a blabbermouth. So when you make a promise to God, don't delay in following through. For God takes no pleasure in fools. Keep all the promises you make to him. It is better to say nothing than to promise something that you don't follow through on. So that's the key. That's the key takeaway from there. You know what I'm saying? Just don't make no promises. Lord, I'm gonna try to do this. But if you say, Lord, I promise you, if you do this for me, I'm going to do this, then no, you're going to still be held accountable for that thing. And that was Solomon's advice. And I was like, God dang it, Solomon, why didn't you tell me this earlier? Because I know there's a lot of them that I made those rash promises that I didn't go through on. But they would say it's better just to say nothing than to promise something that you don't follow through on. Because in such cases, your mouth is making you sin. And don't be, and don't defend yourself by telling the temple messengers that the promise you made was a mistake. That will make God angry, and he might wipe out everything that you have achieved. See, there are these false promises. And we do that all the time. We do that all the time. And we know what I'm saying, how many times have we done that? No, I promise I'm going to do something with God. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I've done it. I've done it myself. I remember this one time I was in this situation where this guy was asking me for advice. He was having a problem with his baby mom at the time. And he came to me and asked me, what should I do? Like, man, we having problems. She's want to leave. I want her to stay, kind of thing. I'm willing to work it out. What should I do? And I told him, I said, honestly, my honest opinion, work on your relationship with God first. You're like, what do you mean? I said, man, you know what I'm saying? You come to church sparingly, you read your Bible every now and again. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't being like I'm talking about being consistent, didn't have that consistent walk with the Lord every day. I said, honestly, that is more important than your relationship with your baby mama. I said, as harsh as it sounds, it is. And I said, honestly, Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and the rest of these things shall be added unto you. So I said, I wholeheartedly believe that if you would, this time and energy that you're trying to spend to getting back with your baby mama, if you would spend that working on your relationship with God, I think in the end, he would bring her back to you. You know, and like when we started the conversation, he was like, man, I asked her just to give me like, you know, 3 to 6 weeks. And she just give me another 3 to 6 weeks. She can see that I've changed, and I see that I'm willing to make a change, and you know what I'm saying, and do what I need to do to be with her. So I said, I'll tell you what, since you asked her for, you know what I'm saying, 4 to 6 weeks, how about this? How about I ask you to give God 4 to 6 weeks? I said, give God 4 to 6 weeks. These next 4 to 6 weeks, make sure you're in church every single time the door is open. Make sure you read your Bible every day. Make sure you're doing everything you need to do to have that walk with God. I said, I'm going to ask you that. Give me 4 to 6 weeks and see if God don't turn this thing around. And he said, you know what? I would do that. And he promised. Like, man, I promise you, man, from now on, I'm going to be in church, you know, for the next few weeks. Just like you said, I'm going to be in church, read my Bible every day. You know what I'm saying? This and that and that. He did it for 2 weeks, y'all. It lasted for 2 weeks. 2 weeks he came to church. He was at church, you know what I'm saying, talking about the Bible and everything. And I don't know what happened that third week, but at the third week, and honestly, I haven't seen him since. You see what I'm saying? So he made this promise that he was going to do this thing, and yet he didn't follow through on it. And that's not good, especially if you're a Christian. When you out there, you represent God, because when you make these people these promises, man, sometimes that's the only hope they have. You never want to destroy a person's hope. And you come and you make this promise, man, I promise you I'm going to do this. I promise you I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? You make these promises and then you don't follow through on them. You know what I'm saying? Not only does it disappoint them and you, it'll disappoint them, and it can possibly disappoint them as God as well. Like I said, if you being, you know what I'm saying, coming to them as a Christian. Because you might not think that you are a great Christian. You might not think that you're all that good as far as a Christian. But to some people that don't have a relationship with God at all, you know what I'm saying? There's some people going to be in your world that you might be the best Christian they know. So if you're the best Christian they know, you might be the only Christian they know. You know what I'm saying? So if you're the best Christian they know or the only Christian they know, and you make these rash promises, these promises to them, and then you don't follow through on it, then guess what? It kills your credibility. And in doing so, killing your credibility, it kills the credibility of God, because you're supposed to be representing them. So they make sure, like, you know what I'm saying? I know I kind of talk about keeping those promises to God, but like I said, it goes with people as well. It's so important, because you don't realize who you can, how many people you can help build a relationship with the Lord because of you keeping true to your word, keeping true to your promise. I got a story. This guy that goes to my church, his name is Brother Terry. He's one of the guys. He's inspiring me. He's a phenomenal soul winner. I think he's led over like 10,000 people to the Lord, kind of thing. And he, you know what I'm saying? He just, man, has some phenomenal stories, and he really inspired me to go out and do the things that I do. You know. So one day in the story, he was down in I think it's Bessemer, Alabama. I think that was where it was at. But he's a truck driver, so he's like all over the place. So one day he stops at this truck stop, you know, and he goes into this truck stop, and there's this young lady in there, and she's working, but he can tell she was having like I think she had like back problems or something like that. She was having like some health problem. And he got talking to her like he does, you know, like we do. We talk about the Lord, and she was kind of busy. She didn't really want to talk about it right now, whatever. But he can tell she was kind of wincing, and something was wrong. He asked her what was wrong. And she told him, like, oh, well, you know, I'm having this problem with my back, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, I tell you what, you know, so I'll pray for you. Her name was Jessica. He said, I tell you what, I'll pray for you. You know, and she's like, okay, whatever. Didn't think none of it. So fast forward, a time later, I don't know exactly how much time. I know it was at least a few weeks, might have been a few months. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the exact time frame, but it was sometime later that he went back to the same truck stop. Just so happened that same girl came up to wait on him. You know what I'm saying? Wait on him at his table or whatever. And when she came up, and he has this, whenever he tells somebody that he's going to pray for him, he has a book that he write it in. He actually writes in this book, pray for such and such for whatever reason, you know. And he said, normally, he said, I always keep that. He said, I never take that book out of my truck because I don't want to mess around and leave it somewhere. He said, but for some reason this day, I just happen to have it with me. And he said, so I go into this restaurant, this truck stop to go sit down, same girl comes up. So when she comes up, we're talking, and I asked her, I said, how's your back doing? And she said she looked at him and he's like, how do you know about my back? He said, well, last time I was in here, you was having some problems with your back, and I told you I prayed for it. And he said, matter of fact, I can show you. And he opened up his book and he shows her where he wrote down her name and wrote, pray for her back. And she said, oh my gosh, she said, a little bit later, a little bit after that, and he had the day down. She said, a little bit after that, my back started feeling like better. And I'm not saying, today I don't even feel it at all. Like, I had no problem with it at all. And I don't know if the doctors gave her the right message. I don't know the details of the story, but basically she didn't have that issue. And she said, I tell you what, I know you want to talk about God. Last time I was busy. She said, but my shift is almost over. If you don't mind waiting around, I'd like to talk to you. And he said, yeah. And so when shift was over, she came to talk to her, and guess what happened? He ended up leading that lady to the Lord. You see what I'm saying? He ended up leading that lady to the Lord. And not only did he lead her to the Lord, now she's a soul winner, and she's out leading people to the Lord. Because he has this contest that he's been doing, between the people that he lead to the Lord. And I don't know how many, but she's led several people to the Lord over the years. Why? Because he was a man of his word. He told her that he was going to pray for her. He did pray for her. The Lord answered that prayer, and now he was able to win over because she saw that he was sincere. He was a man of his word. And we don't have that. We don't have people with integrity no more. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, you know what I'm saying? If I had $1 for every single time I've talked to somebody, I witnessed somebody, or when I soul went and talked to somebody, and I told, they said they were going to, either watch my lives or come to the church or come to the ministry. If I had $1 for everybody that said that and then never showed up, I promise you I'll be rich. I would not be in the financial situation that I am now, because I would be rich. And if just only $1, I'll be rich, because I have people all the time. They always make these promises and, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna check you out. And then sometimes I do, like matter of fact, Miss Alicia and Miss Tanya, both of y'all, you know what I'm saying? Some people do. Y'all was women of y'all words. Both of y'all I met when I was out soul winning, and both of y'all said y'all would look me up at some point. And both of y'all have been looking me up since then and been in here faithfully. So I appreciate that. So I do get that every now and again. But 9 times out of 10, I don't. People say, oh, yeah, we'll look you up, or I'm going to send you a friend request, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I never hear from them. They never check on my video. They never send me their friend request. You know what I'm saying? It happens all the time. Why? Because we become a society that accepts people that don't have integrity. We actually lift them up. They make these promises, and I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes we do it, try to be nice. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be nice. Some people invite you to something and you want to be nice. Oh yeah, I might check it out, kind of thing. I don't do that. I don't do that. That's something I try to make a habit of not making promises or telling people I'm gonna do things that I know I have no intention of doing. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody come up and oh man, this new club has opened up. You know what I'm saying? They be popping bottles, all that then you should come out. Nah, no thanks. Why? Because I know that's not my thing. I know there's no way I'm going to that club. My clubbing days are over. And it ain't even me being hyper spiritual. I just don't like. I've been to a club a couple of times since so I really started preaching, and I don't like it. It was a waste of my time. The whole time I was there, I was wishing I was at the house. I was like, why did I even waste my time coming here, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that, and you should make a habit of doing that. If you really have because like I said, we do it out of habit. Oh, somebody, hey, you need to check this out, or you need to get on here and look this up, and then, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Knowing you have no intent, you just said it just to be nice. And like I said, I understand you being cordial and cool, but I don't do that. I make it a habit not doing that. If you invite me to something, or you telling me to check out something or to read something, and I know I have no intention of doing it, I just tell you I'm not gonna do it. Nah, I'm good. Well, you sure? Yeah, I know, but that's not my thing. And it's not be rude about it. It's just being honest about it. You know what I'm saying? So I can be a man of my word. But if I tell you I'm gonna do something, if I tell you I'm going to do something, then just know that I'm doing it. My whole intention to do it. Only, you know what I'm saying, if one in God's plan for me to get it done, that's the only way I won't get it done. It won't be if I don't get it done, it won't be for lack of trying. That's what I was looking for. If I don't get it done, it won't be for lack of trying. It's because I tried it, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. I know, like Ms. Alicia, she was telling me about a death she had, and that was weeks ago. And I told her, I'm coming by. It's not that I haven't forgotten. I haven't been out in the dictionary in quite some time now, because the guy that I go soul winning, the guy I'm doing my drug counseling with, he's over in Camden, which is to the west. So, it'd be hard for me to go pick him up. And I've been trying to disciple him and get him into soul winning, which we've been working on for the last 3-4 weeks. He's actually been talking and working on presenting the gospel himself. So I really want to work with this guy to see if I can help him get another soul winning out there. So I go with him, soul winning with him every Saturday. And since it's out west, I've been going primarily to areas in the west. Now, we have a situation where he don't go with me one day, then I'm going to shoot down to Dixon. I'm going to go visit Miss Alicia. But if I don't show up, it wasn't for lack of trying. I just didn't have it. It didn't work out in my schedule to get there. But I do intend on next time I'm up in the area, stopping by and giving her a holler. You see what I'm saying? That's what I do. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. If I tell you I'm going to pray for you, I am going to pray for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, I don't write it down like Brother Terry. You know what I'm saying? But when I tell somebody, I really intend on praying. I know, Miss Alicia, you said, Leo had a bad day. I'm going to pray for you tonight. You know what I'm saying? Probably going to do it try to remember to do it before I even get off here. When I do my end of praying tonight, I'll put that prayer in. But when I say I'm going to do something, I actually intend on doing it. Why? So I can have credibility. So when I come and tell somebody something, they know, oh, he's truthful about that thing. Especially, like I said, with the gospel. If you don't have credibility as you're trying to spread the gospel, people ain't going to want to listen to you because you've lied to them before. If you lied to me before, then how do I know you're not lying to me now? I know, like, when my kids were growing up, I didn't want to ruin, people that always say, don't ruin your children's childhood. You know what I'm saying? But I never told my kids about Santa Claus. Now, I didn't stop my wife from doing it, but I didn't do it. You know why? Because I wanted to have credibility. Because you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna lie about Santa Claus, what makes kids think you ain't lying? When they get older, what makes them think that you ain't lying about Jesus? Because if you think about it, the stories sound about the same. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that gives gifts, freely gives gifts every year, and knows everything you're doing. Knows if you're sleeping, knows if you're awake. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between the story of Jesus and Santa Claus. And really, Jesus, if you really look at it, most people like Jesus is just a Santa Claus story for adults. You see what I'm saying? And I never did want to lose that credibility with my kids. So, like I said, I didn't go like Santa Claus is fake. No, I ain't gonna do nothing like that. But and I told my wife, if they ever ask me about Santa Claus, I'm gonna tell them the truth. I'm not gonna lie to them. Why? Because I want to have credibility with my kids. It's very important. You know what I'm saying? It's very important to do that. And parents, we don't realize that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, I see this happen a lot with parents. They make these kids do something and they make these idle threats. Oh, if you don't sit down, I'm going to do this, they'll do that. And if you don't stop doing this, I'm going to do this and do that. And they make all these idle threats. And, then they make these threats. And then the kid don't stop doing that thing or keeps doing that thing. And then they don't come through that threat and it kills their credibility. And a lot of times when those kids, when they do that all the time, when those kids get older, they're going to be rebels. Why? Because you don't have no credibility. They never believe nothing. You said you're going to do this discipline thing and you never did do it. So I don't make idle threats. My kids know if I tell, hey, you got one more time. You know what I'm saying? Now I might warn them, but like, you got one more time. You do this and then that's it. Now I remember this one time for the story. I remember this one time, my boy, I can't remember exactly what my boy was doing, but I told him to stop doing something. And they kept doing it. And I told him, next time you do it, I'm gonna take your doors off, because I knew, teenage, this when they was teenagers, and teenage, they all about their privacy. They gotta have their privacy. They don't want you, what I'm saying, don't come in the room, knock, stuff like that. So I told them, I said, you got one more time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember telling them, you got one more time, and if you do it again, I'm taking the doors off your room, your room doors off. And they thought, my grandma used to say, they thought fat meat was greasy, so they did it again. So guess what happened? They came home from school and all the doors were removed off their room. And they was pissed. They was pissed. And then the crazy part was I took the doors off and I set it right beside their room. And then they tried to put sheets up and I didn't let them put sheets up. You know what I'm saying? So it went for a while. I can't remember how long we left them doors off, but it was a while where they didn't have doors in their room. Because I told them I was going to do something. They didn't stop doing it. I was going to do something. I did it. They kept doing it, and I did it. I held up to my promise, and that's important. Like, especially if you're going to be out here, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, you're going to be out here spreading the word of the Lord, trying to lead people to the Lord. You got to be a person of integrity. You got to have credibility, because everything you do represents. Once you take on that mantle of Christian, everything you do represents the Lord. So if you out here making all these fake, false promises and giving up these people these false truths, then you diminish your credibility, but you also diminish the credibility of the God we serve, and you make God look bad in the eyes of these non-believers. You see what I'm saying? So it's very important that you do that, because again, we have a society, we become a society that's accepted. You know, you come out here and you give me half truths, or you on purpose give me false truths, and you make all these promises, and then it never happens. You see that in these big prosperity churches. Oh, you just send me some money. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send you this oil, and you anoint yourself, and all your financial problems gonna be taken care of. They make all these fake promises, and then it don't happen. And guess what? It ends up happening. It make God look bad. It make God look bad, and that's what they was doing. They started making these brash promises, and again, we know the history of the Israelites. So we know that they're not going to stick to this promise, even though God, because it said, they asked them, if you worship us, we sinned, we worship, but you will worship you and you alone if you rescue us from our enemies. And then what it say? Then the Lord sent Gideon, Barak, Jephthah, and Samuel, and to save you, and you lived in safety. Why he had to send 4 different ones? Because each time he sent one, they worshiped the Lord for a while. They did worship alone for a while. But then as soon as that judge died off, those were the names of judges that I just gave you. As soon as those judges died off, what did they do? They went right back to worshiping the idols. So they never did make good on their word. They never did make good on their word. Therefore, they never did have any kind of credibility, and they never had any kind of, they never took accountability for this promise they made. And you don't want to do that. That's why it says, again, over in Ecclesiastes, it's best not to say anything. You know what I'm saying? Just tell God, if you got something in your heart that you know you need to be doing, just say, hey, Lord, look, I'm terrible. I know I'm terrible. I'm going to try to do this thing. You know what I'm saying? And I need your strength to make it through. It's best to say that. But when you don't get on your, Lord, I promise, if you do this, I promise you I'm going to be in church every single Sunday. I promise you if you do this, I'm going to start preaching. I promise you do this, I'm going to read my Bible every day. Don't be making those rash promises and then don't follow through. Because like I said in Ecclesiastes, you're still going to be accountable for it. The Lord's still going to ask you, I remember you said that you're going to do this. I gave you the thing that you asked for, but you never did do that thing. What's up with that? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I know I'm excited about meeting God. I want to meet God, but I'm afraid it's gonna be a list of promises that I know I done made that I'm gonna have to answer for because I never did follow through on. So again, number 9, don't forget to be a man/woman of your word, especially if you're a Christian. If you make a promise to somebody, if you tell somebody you're gonna do something, do it. And if you know you have no intention of doing it, just don't say anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, don't be, we got in the habit of doing that to make people feel good so they don't feel, no, if you know you have no intention on going to that place or doing that thing, like I have several people that, especially when I get to talking about, God and all that, they always invite me to the church. Hey, why don't you come check out my church? And I go and tell them, nah, most likely I won't. Like it sounds like fun, not that I got a problem with your church. It's just because I know I do a lot of work in my church. I'm the head usher in my church. You know what I'm saying? My wife teaches Sunday school. You know what I'm saying? So we're heavily involved in our church. So for us to take a day out, now I do take days off every time now and again something happens and I don't make it to church, but it's rare. It's rare and far in between. So I try not to take days off if I don't have to. Now every once in a while it does happen, but for the most part I'm at church every Sunday. But I'm definitely not going to take a Sunday off just to go visit somebody else's church. You know what I'm saying? Now I had this one young man that I kind of mentored, and me and the family was really cool. And I've talked to him before, took him out somewhere with me before, and he's preaching now. So every once in a while he'll invite me and I go because I want to support him. You know what I'm saying? He's a young guy. I mean, he's like, I think about 21, 22. He's been preaching for like 2-3 years, you know. So I want to keep him encouraged. So every once in a while, if he got like some kind of special sermon going on, he's like, hey, Big John, man, I'm doing this sermon. Would you mind coming to check me? Yes, I'll be there. You know, something like that. Yes, I'll be there, and I will go. I'll go. Make that. But for the most part, I'm at my church. So if somebody invite me to another church, I'm not going to do it just to check it out. You know, so I don't do that because I know where my home is at. So you got to start practicing that. You know, so get some credibility to your word. When do people believe your word is bond? Do people believe you when you say you're going to do something that you're going to do it? Do they believe that, or they be like, oh, all right, I hope you'll come through. You know what I'm saying? If it's more of a, I hope you'll come through, then you need to really work on your credibility. And the way you do that by not making promises that you have no plan on going through with. So number 9, don't forget to be a man or woman of your word, especially if you're a Christian. Because like I said, you keeping your word could be the deciding factor was if somebody accept the Lord or not. Like I said, Brother Terry did it. That's a wonderful story. Like I said, he got lots of stories like that. Went down there, told the girl he gonna pray for her. He prayed for her, back started feeling better, and he ended up leading her to the Lord, and now she's leading other people to the Lord. Why? Because he had credibility. And because of his credibility, he gave God credibility, and she was willing to listen to him about Jesus Christ, and she came to know him as Savior. So I'm going to stop there right there for the night, y'all. This is the end of verse 11. I'm already, my time is up. So I'm definitely not going to jump into this next point because I don't want to have to rush through it just to make sure I get under 2 hours. But I thank y'all for joining me tonight. And Miss Alicia, I know you probably feel bad because you came in late, but it's all good. Like I said, the first 20, 30 minutes, I was just talking about my trip to Orlando, but it was interesting what happened. So if you want to hear about that, I'm going to post it on my page soon as I'm done here, and you can go back and watch that. But for everybody else, man, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for being faithful. Every single one of y'all that's on here. Now, it might be more people that I can't see. I can only see 3 profiles here. But I know all 3 of you guys promised me that you will watch these lessons. Probably you'll be a part of the ministry, and you have been. So I thank you for that. So I thank y'all for joining me tonight. And as always, I got my ending announcements as usual. Continue to tell people about it, everything. Lord willing, next Monday night, I'll be back to do the next part of this because it's like I said, Samuel, I told y'all this is going to be a kind of a long list because it's a long chapter, and Samuel really like bringing out a lot of good points, and I don't want to rush it, so that's why I'm doing it. There's a little bit at a time, line upon line, precept upon precept. So Lord willing, next Monday we'll be back with part 4 of this lesson of Farewell to Remember. But after that, in case y'all just want a little break from it, after that, you know what I'm saying, I will be doing I guess the Monday the 21st, Lord willing, if I'm here, I'll be doing a sermon that I'm going to do at the church called Even If You Don't. And I'm excited about this sermon because it's off one of my favorite stories. We've been talking about Daniel, so it's out of the book of Daniel, one of my favorite stories, and I get to preach on one of my favorite stories. I'm a little nervous about it because it's my favorite story. I don't want to mess it up, but I will do that the Monday after. But if there's anything else, though, that you guys that I haven't covered already, that you want me to talk about, some story I haven't covered, please reach out to me and let me know. Inbox me, and I'll work that into my lesson plan as well. Keep sharing the videos, telling other people about the videos as well, so we can keep this thing going, and as this truth can get out there. Of course, if you're not 100% sure about your salvation, please reach out to me. That's the main thing. I love doing these lessons. I love teaching y'all, but the main thing, this ministry is to seek and save those that are lost. That's what Jesus came to do, and that's the whole focal point of this ministry. But you know what I'm saying, and not only seek and save those that are lost, help the ones that are saved learn how to have that relationship with the Lord. So, of course, if you're not saved, reach out to me and let me know. I will set up some time with you to go to the gospel with you, or you don't want to talk to me because I talk too much, which I do. You can I can set you up with somebody else that'll go with you. But please reach out to me and let me know. And of course, you need any kind of spiritual counseling, any kind of question about the Bible, anything. I don't know everything. I'm not a theologian, but the Lord has part of me with some wisdom, and I will share whatever the wisdom the Lord has given me. I will share it with you, and hopefully it'll help answer your question. And as always, if you want to go back and catch some of my old sermons, ones I did before, especially when I get to going on a series like this, and you want to go back and catch the other parts, the easiest way to do it, you can always watch my Facebook page because I don't delete them off there as well. But the easiest way to do it is catch my YouTube page. This is it, youtube.com. God's Servant / Lost Sheep Ministry. Type it in just like that with a space between each one, and it will take you to my channel. Make sure you hit the like buttons on the videos, and make sure you subscribe to the videos as well, so that way every time I upload something, you will get a notification of that. And all of my videos are on there except for this one tonight, which I will probably get that on sometime this next Sunday. So with that being said, thank you guys for joining me tonight. What did you say, Miss Tanya? Okay, I will pray for your daughter as well, and I'll pray for Mr. Leo as well as we get out of here. So with that being said, I'm going to say in prayer, then we're going to go. Dear Lord Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us tonight. Once again, thank you for letting us make it back from our trip. Thank you for my people. Even though I wasn't here last week, they didn't abandon me, Lord. I know sometimes you break their consistency up. People get doing other things. They forget about you, but they're still here. And I thank you for them. I thank you for their faithfulness, Lord. Even though they're going through some things. I know Ms. Alicia said she had a bad day, but yet she's still here to hear your word, Lord. And it just shows her faithfulness and her determination to hear your word and to continue to build a relationship with you. So I'm so thankful for that. Thank you for always watching over us. And again, thank you for this wonderful lesson. Thank you for putting on Samuel's heart to write these words down and to capture these words. that can guide us in the direction we need to go so we can do the work that you have for us to do. And we just thank you for giving us the opportunity to spend this time tonight in this word, Lord. And now, Lord, I ask you to watch over us as we finish up this night. Keep us all safe and protected. Keep your hands upon us all, Lord. Be with Miss Alicia as she deals with her grandson, Leo. You know, she loved him to death, and I know she'd do anything for him, and I know she'd make any sacrifice she need to make sure he's happy and healthy, Lord. So please just keep your healing hands upon him. You're Jehovah Rapha, the God that heals. Keep your healing hands upon him, Lord. And so he can continue to heal from the situation, and just give Miss Alicia the strength she needs to be able to deal with it. And be with Miss Tanya's daughter as well, Lord, that with the seizures. Again, you are the Jehovah Rapha, the God that heals. Put your hand upon her, Lord, and give her the strength to make it through, and give Miss Tanya the strength she needs to be able to endure as a sin. Because I know it's nothing like having to watch a child or a grandchild and suffer or in pain or in need and just feeling powerless, like we can't do nothing to help them, Lord. But we know you have all the power, and that's why we call you into the situation, because we know you can do it. And also pray for my church family, my home church family from Mississippi, a dear friend of mine that I grew up in the church with. She passed away here recently, Lord, and she's the same age as me. We literally grew up together in the church. And sweetest young lady I've ever met, very shy, sweetest young lady, and just really heartbreaking to hear that. But I know she was a woman of God, and that's something I know for sure, Lord. So I thank you for that. And I just pray just keep your hands upon our family as they deal with this tragic loss, Lord. And I pray just watch over this ministry, continue to use this ministry to do your work, Lord, to honor and glorify your name, to continue to build your kingdom. Be with everyone that's touched by this ministry, every life that is changed by this ministry. Those young men, I think about those young men. I know I was joking about how hard they was and how gangster they were, Lord, but I'm so grateful that you sent me down there to introduce them to you. And I pray you continue to work on their hearts, and not only their hearts, but anybody's hearts that we've led to you over the years. Continue to send your spirit down upon our hearts. Give them the want to grow in their relationship with you so they can do the work that you have for them to do, that you saved them to do, Lord. Continue to watch over me and my family, and there's all my ministry members. Give us the encouragement and enthusiasm we need to continue to go forward, doing this work you have for us to do to honor and glorify your name and actively build your kingdom, Lord. And we ask you just continue to shine your love and grace down upon us always. Bless us and guide us always. Keep us safe as we go about this night, and help us get the rest in we need so we wake up tomorrow ready for another day of honor and glorifying your holy name. We ask you to just watch over all of our leaders, Lord. Turning your hearts back to you so they may lead the people back in the right direction, and we can get back to truly being a nation under you, Lord. And we just pray for the day when the world as a whole, we will humble ourselves, pray, seek your face, and turn from our wicked ways so you can hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our land. Be with all our military brothers and sisters, all of those in law enforcement, all those in kind of rescue services, anybody that put their health, life, and safety at risk to protect the health, life, and safety of others. Be a wall of protection around them as they serve, and just keep them safe, and then their family members safe, so they may embrace each other once again and honor and glorify you because they had the ability to do so. So again, Lord, thank you so much for this lesson tonight. Thank you for letting it go smooth. Thank you for letting your spirit work through me. And I pray these words will go forth, touch the hearts of those that listen, that hear them, because we know your word never returns in vain. Touch their hearts, Lord, and give them the want to come under, bring them under conviction, and give them the want to make whatever correction they need to make in their lives so they may do the things that you have for them to do and have that close relationship with you. We love you so much. Thank you for all you've done and given. Say this prayer in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all for hanging in here with me while I was running my mouth on and on and on. But I definitely appreciate it. I hope these lessons are helping y'all. And I really pray that the Lord will continue to use me and this ministry and you guys and your prayers to uplift his name and build his kingdom. I will continue to pray for y'all. Y'all continue to pray for me. And again, if y'all want to get back into this lesson again, be back next Monday, 7 o'clock sharp, and we'll continue on through this lesson of Samuel. But until then, continue to pray for me. I pray for y'all. I love you all. And remember to always watch your back and pray. Till next time, keep me in your prayers, and I keep you in mind. And I guess I've said that many times, but I love you all. And until next time, peace.